The Australian Ghost Whisperer with Caterina and James Jennings. Hello everyone, welcome to a special episode of the Australian Ghost Whisperer. As you can see if you're watching the video, we are on location. If you're listening to us, you might be able to hear the rustling of the winds up here in the Blue Mountains. But we have come to, of course, a haunted hospital, which is behind us. You might be able to see a very creepy looking dilapidated building in between us.
Dilapidated building.
Unfortunately, there is a barbed wire fence that is separating us from in there. Apparently you used to be able to get in here quite easily, and Caterina and I turned up expecting to do some world-class trespassing today and actually getting in there and having a look.
But no, there's barbed wire.
No.
So
And we're not getting ourselves sliced up for more YouTube views.
we can see it all from here anyway.
We
It's
can.
quite spooky, the grounds.
Exactly.
There's a lot of spirits floating around.
What can you see, Kat?
Well, like in that house, I see like an old man and an old woman, and they're looking out through the window at us like, oh, what are they doing here? What are they looking at? And I feel like they lived here and died here. It's that kind of energy.
Right.
But you were saying it then became a nursing home.
Yeah, so the history of this place, it's called the Queen Victoria Sanitorium and Hospital. And essentially it was a hospital that was built between 1902 and 1921. It then operated as that up until 1958, and then it became a nursing home. And it was
awful vibes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I see people even walking on the grounds, like, you know, like heavily drugged. I'm seeing the spirits of, like, they're really like this, like they're still really in their spirit is so depleted because they were so heavily drugged.
Yeah, right.
So that's what I'm seeing, like walking around the grounds. It wasn't a very happy place.
I don't think it would be.
No, it wasn't. And I feel like even as a nursing home, it was like that's the last stop before you die.
Yeah.
And I sort of feel like, yeah, it had already not it didn't have a nice vibe. So imagine, you know, people coming, all these elderly people coming here when it was a nursing home.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a very happy space.
Yeah, well, I left out a detail, which is that it was also a nursing home for chronically ill people. So there would have been a lot of deaths.
I'm seeing them all drugged. They're like zombies, like, that's what it looks like. That's what I can see in the ground.
Yeah. Oh, God.
They don't know what planet. They don't
zombie.
even know. Yeah, I know. I'm just such a good actress.
You are.
But that's why, you know, they're walking that way because they're like got these white sort of, you know, those the gowns, and they're just stuck in limbo, and they don't even know they're dead, and they still think they're walking the grounds. And yeah, I feel like a lot of drugs. I feel the Sanitorium, like where I think they did awful things. They electrocuted them and did really. I can hear screaming, like when they were, you know, probably, you know, how they put that thing in between their teeth and they electrocute their brains, like those horrible.
God.
Yeah, it feels like that kind of energy.
That sounds absolutely awful.
Yeah. So should we go and look? There's the main building and see what's going on there.
Let's have a look at the main building. We'll have a bit of a peek in between the fence. And we'll see what we can find. Now, this place was also a nursing home, I'll just add, up until 1999, which seems like a really long time for this to be operational. And I think that after that time, people could actually sneak in and get a look, but obviously at some point they've shut it down. But luckily, we've got the Ghost Whisperer, Caterina, here, and she can
see it anyway.
She can see it anyway.
Barbed wire.
Well, let's go find some more spirits.
Let's go vibe further down.
All right,
okay.
Let's go. Look, she's not even scared. Nothing scares Caterina. Seriously, like nothing. We've come to a dead end. All right, Caterina, we have walked the perimeter of the property.
It's really, I feel quite like nausea.
Yeah.
Like from all the drugs that they administered here. Just, I feel like they really OD'd all their patients with lots of drugs,
Right.
when it was a hospital and a sanitarium. I feel a real energy of sickness and depression, and I believe that probably a lot of the patients tried to run away. Some of them escaped. I also feel like people were put in here not necessarily that they were mental or had mental issues. It's like, you know, it's like, oh, if there was a husband was angry with his wife, he'd find, you know, sort of an excuse to stick her here. Like, it's that kind of I feel really sick and nauseous and just very, very sad, like very, very sad. I feel like there was children here also, but there's just so many spirits just roaming around on these grounds. Like, even though I know you guys can't see, and we unfortunately couldn't find a spot where we could really, but just I can see inside the grounds, and it's just tragic. And I see even the nurses. I feel like the nurses were just you know, like everybody was just unhappy. It was just that real low vibe type of place.
Yeah.
I don't think it was a place where people came to really get cured of anything.
Yeah, they were sent to get rid of.
Yeah, more than likely.
Yeah.
So many trapped souls here, though.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling.
It's not a good vibe, even though we're surrounded by, as you can probably see, beautiful trees and nature. And, you know, I love the pine trees.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a very eerie, dark kind of, very...
Absolutely. And I even went up the hill to an area that was quite sunny, and you would expect it up high in the sun. You'd be like, oh, this feels nice. It felt awful up there. Like,
it's almost like there's another dimension.
Yeah.
It's almost like another dimension. Like,
I could feel things watching, like
alternate
there were
dimensions.
things watching me up there, and like, who's this?
It's so much energy of lost souls trapped, and it's like it's interdimensional, like interdimensional low frequencies of trapped energies, sickness, madness. Like, I just feel like there's a bit of everything trapped within dimensions.
Right.
Dimensions within pockets of dimensions within dimensions, and it's like, we're surrounded by nature, but there's still so many trapped souls in different realities. Like, I feel like there's the people who died here that were in the nursing home, and the people from the hospital, people from the sanitarium. It's all these dimensions intertwined in
and very low growth.
Very low growth, sick, nausea.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend you guys could come for a drive and see it.
Get creeped out for yourself.
You can get creeped out for yourself and get a vibe for it.
It's not good.
But it's not, it's not a place that's healthy. It's not a place that's, it's very unhappy grounds. They definitely need to be vibed. You know, they really need to be, a lot of light set here and some love and just lifting the energy in here. And the buildings all got souls, all got lost souls in there.
Yeah, I feel very guarded, like I'm on my guard, like like when you're being watched or followed.
Well, we are being definitely watched by lots of these spirits because they know that we're aware of them. And it's like I can see some even walking up to this fence and looking at us because they know. Right. Can you vibe it?
Bit,
It's like they're coming up here now and like going, what are they doing? What are they, they talking about us? It's like a lot of them can sense and feel our presence here. But they're still trapped in their time. They don't realise that we're at, what are we, in year 2023? They're still stuck in, the moment they probably died in here.
Early 1900s.
The early 1900s. It's kind of, they're dressed in that kind of gear.
Well, let's take a little bit more of a walk around, see if we can see anything else. But I'll be quite happy when we leave.
Okay, let's
go.
See if we can.
So as much as Caterina and I love nature, we are going to get out of here real soon because the vibes are not good vibes. Caterina, what's your feeling
Look, even
now?
the wind is eerie. There's an eeriness to the wind. And like I said, more and more spirits now are lining up against this fence, and they're really like tapping into us and tuning in because they know that we're aware of them. Now, to do a whole big rescue mission here, I would need a week, so I can't really do that. Maybe we can attempt it on Patreon, do a big rescue mission here for these souls that want to go home.
Yep.
And I don't blame them. They've been roaming around on these grounds. But look, it's quite sad, and I think this is why it's so important to have a plan for your death, to be prepared to, to merge with God when you leave here, to not get stuck like some of these people. But the fact that they're so stuck to what I'm picking up is they were so drugged that they was probably in comas, unaware that they died, and they haven't had a very clear ability to sort of step into the afterlife because they've just probably walked out of their bodies being super drugged. They've died, and I feel like they've just kind of slipped out of their bodies and they're just roaming the grounds. And when you die, there's no more a sense of timing anymore. So they've been stuck here for centuries.
Yeah, which is really sad. Like, it's a very sad way to go. So
that's why it's just packed with lost souls.
Yeah.
And more are just there. They're just coming. It's that they're all lined up against the fence going, she's talking about, but they've got some really weird pajamas and stuff on, like striped stuff and hospital gowns. And there's even some nurses I feel running around thinking that they're still nurses. And and then there's a few more modern looking spirits, obviously from the nursing home that died here. So there's a real mix of, but the whole thing I just feel very my stomach is really yucky from the energy I'm picking up.
Well, all I can say is that I'm not upset that there is a barbed wire fence.
No, that's not going to
keeping us from getting inside.
You might have some come home with you.
Don't say that. Why would you say that to me?
Because I love staring.
Isn't she nice?
No, we're going to close after we have finished saying goodbye to our beautiful people. We're going to clear ourselves, clear this yucky energy, and then we'll go home.
Ghost free.
Ghost free. Absolutely. Right. Never take a ghost home.
That's good advice. Good life advice and good death advice as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well, I think that's it for us, Kate. Let's get in the car and get the hell out of here.
All right, guys. Lots of love, and we'll see you next episode.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
To gain access to private spiritual development classes, guided meditations, and live Q&As with Caterina, please visit www.patreon, that's patreon.com/The Australian Ghost Whisperer.